Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Q&A video, answer segment type of video, leading up to this Sunday's episode of The Walking Dead, which is Season 6, Episode 13, The Same Boat. So I wanted to get at least one more Q&A done before Sunday's episode. I may not have a new one for you guys tomorrow because my throat is absolutely killing me. I don't know, I got something wrong with my throat. Is it like strep throat or something? I'm not sure, but it's pretty bad. I'm barely getting through my shifts, so it's hard for me to talk. It's hard for me to do the videos. That's why I didn't have one for you guys on Thursday, or Friday. Yeah, but I still wanted to get to a few of your guys' questions at least, and show up as best I can, and do the best I can, even though I'm pretty sick. But don't worry about Sunday, the reviews, and as usual, the usual stuff, guys, will still be there. I don't care, if I have to type it description wise or something on the screen, I'll figure it out. So the first question for this one's from Joan86, and this was like a comment, and they said this episode comes really close to topping No Way Out, not quite there, but close. And that was for episode 12. And I agree, man. Episode 12 was really, really good. But it's hard, like, when I do my reviews and stuff, I like to kind of try to put them in order, like how good the episode was compared to the other episodes we've had in The Walking Dead. After No Way Out, it was pretty clear to see that that's the best episode they've ever done, right up there with, Too Far Gone and No Sanctuary, but a little bit better. This episode, just recently, it's not that easy to say, like, where you would place it, that kind of deal, and how you felt about the episode because of the survivors' decision to just kill everybody. So, anyway, but we talked about that earlier on in the week. But I'm not sure if it's a top 10 episode, ever. I have to think about it and compare it to some of the others and probably watch it a couple more times to compare so I can give you guys, an idea there. I'm not sure if it's top 10, but it'd be pretty close, I would think. It's one of the better ones we've had, for sure, I think. Really exciting. Next one's from Radical Z, or Z, and he says, Trev, I made a kill count of all these saviors Rick's group has killed. In episode 6, Sasha and Abraham killed 5 saviors in the car, shooting at them. In episode 9, Daryl killed 8 saviors. In episode 12, 32 saviors died, including the ones in front who were damn hilarious. That totals 45 saviors were killed already by Rick's group. I think Negan needs to kill at least 2 or 3 of Rick's group members to teach them a brutal lesson. It'll be so generous of him to just kill one member. Anyways, peace, Trev. So I wanted to include that there. I haven't checked his numbers or anything like that. I haven't had time. But that sounds about right. And I mean, that is a lot. I mean, that is quite a few that have been killed off now by the survivors. So I think it's pretty easy to see that the saviors in the TV series will probably have even more in terms of numbers than they did in the comic book series. Now, I haven't heard an exact number count of how many saviors there were in the comic book series, but I always kind of had the impression it was around 100 or so. And the TV series, if they've already killed 45, that must mean that the saviors are even bigger in the TV series, and it'll probably be more like 150 to 200, so that's a lot. So they still have quite a few to go. And yeah, but they're off to an awesome start because they haven't lost anybody. They've killed 45 to 0 right now. Well, maybe 2 if you count the ones that have been captured, right? So that's a pretty amazing number since the saviors haven't. I don't think they've killed anybody in Rick's group yet, have they? Not yet, but that's coming up, obviously, for sure. Next one's from Donald Trump's Glorious Hair. He says, I like the name. Trev, do you see the Tobin-Carol relationship lasting? Tobin has been a very expendable character since he was introduced. Q&A. So yeah, that's true. I don't really see it. I didn't really see it coming either. Like, we've never really talked about it as a possible relationship match between the two. It never seemed like something that we were going to see. So I was surprised to see it at all. And, I don't see it going very long. No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, that's tough, because Tobin, I didn't even think Tobin would really be alive at this point still. I'm surprised he's one of the ones who survived and that they've actually used him for anything because, yeah, so, but I don't think it's going to last that long, no. We'll even see if there's any kind of ongoing, steadiness to that. They're both so different, it's just hard to see them together. But I suppose if Tobin respects her for what she can do and appreciates her, then I guess it could work either way. Next one's from, as long as they're both alive, that is. Next one's from Chris Weidman, and he says, "Hey Trev, hope you had a great weekend. I think the place that Rick's group went to is an outpost for the Saviors. What do you think? And do you think Rosine and Eugene will go out in the TV show? If so, when? Do you think they will? Thanks for all the great videos." So it's kind of like comic book spoilery, I suppose, a little bit. So, you know, guys, you guys know that when we get into the Q&As and stuff, there's a little. I try to clean them as best I can, but sometimes there's a few things here and there. Well, we don't know. We don't know if Rosita and Eugene would ever be any kind of a couple in the TV series. In the comic book series, they do hook up, but it's always weird, and I don't know what that would look like in the TV show version. So it seems to be kind of funny, like the scene where Abraham walks out. There's like Eugene's like standing there. It's all awkward and stuff. He's so weird. It's so funny. Even when Daryl, like when he's talking to Daryl, and Daryl just looks at him like, "Thanks," you know. This is so weird. It's funny. So I don't know if they're going to go that route with Rosita and Eugene in the TV show. We'll see if they do that. But they like to change it up quite a bit, so they might not anyway. But it does look like, the place that Rick's group attacked was definitely one of the outposts for the Saviors. And they'll probably have a few of them. You know, Negan will probably have his own sanctuary. He'll have, a few different spots, maybe like 4 or something like that, or 3 would be probably a good number. I think I'll go with 4. There may be even more than that in the TV show version because there's even more survivors. When you get over 100, it's going to be hard to keep them all in one place. You know, you're going to have multiple locations. And it makes sense to have multiple locations anyway, because if one place gets overrun by a herd or something, you can still survive. You can get out of there and go to another outpost. So it makes perfect sense for sure. Next one's from GBNF, and he says, or she says, "Hey Trev, I'm somewhat curious about the latest events. My comic book friends keep hinting that there may be a main group death at the end of the season. While I don't look forward to losing any one of Rick's closest group to Rick at this point, I also don't see that it would be unreasonable. My best count is," now she counted, or he counted, 24 Saviours were killed by Rick's murder raid. That's not counting the other ones previous. Leaving emotions out of it, losing just one person seems rather merciful, all things considered. And I definitely agree. It seems like in the TV show version, he'll probably kill maybe even more than one. I would think it'd be more than one, not just one. One would be like a slap on the wrist for 45. 45 for one, that's like nothing. Wouldn't even be surprised if Negan was able to capture them and just kill them all, basically, because how many they've killed, he'd be kind of scared of them. I mean, if you're able to kill 45 armed, Saviors, or mostly armed for the most part, some sleeping and that kind of deal, but if you're able to kill that many with your group, you're pretty dangerous, man, to control, and pretty dangerous to keep around, to keep alive. Next one's from Flynn, and this one's a little bit spoilery. We'll do a couple more. He says, "Hey Trev, hope you're doing well. I have a question for your Q&A. In episode 12, we see Morgan building a cell. Could this be, important in the future?" I'll kind of phrase it that way for people who haven't read the comic book. And then he says, "Is it also possible that it's Morgan who gets through to Rick, which is why he imprisons people later on instead of killing them?" What do you think with regards to that? And thanks for all your hard work, he says. So, I think that's what they're setting up for. And in the TV series, the comic book series, Kirkman never really explained why eventually Rick goes from wanting to kill people to eventually he wants to, kind of reinstate kind of the prison system and the, put people away. And if they do something really bad, instead of just giving them capital punishment, keeping them, locking them up, this kind of deal, kind of coming back closer to regular civilization again. So, but he never really got into why Rick transitions that way. Maybe it's because of hope and everything like that, and his kind of vision of what he can build. But in the TV series, to have a character like Morgan, it fits in so perfectly, because it's like Morgan's influence and his way of looking at things. Maybe, Rick will see it his way, that the death is very final, and that, and it's true too, like Morgan said, if you just kill somebody, they don't have to live with the guilt of what they did, which can be brutal. Sometimes life can be worse than death if someone has to go through some kind of just brutal guilt like that for for things they've done and everything. And like he said, at least he can know what he's done, that kind of deal. So Morgan's got an interesting perspective. I think it's a little extreme, but definitely this part of the season, I think they've really merged it in well and made it feel a lot more kind of in place now that we see what Rick's group has had to do when you have to go the other way and you do have to survive. And even though you don't really have much of a choice, you kind of have to. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I won't get into any more because some of them are spoilery in that. But just a few people asked me to give my thoughts on the new Civil War trailer. I was going to, because it's really cool, of course, if you haven't seen it. I won't spoil anything for you, but the character at the end is pretty cool, even though people are putting it in thumbnails and stuff. So, but it looks pretty cool, man. I'm excited for the Versus movies this year. Captain America versus Iron Man, which is Civil War, and then, of course, Batman versus Superman, which should be good. So, and then I was going to do one for Game of Thrones, like a breakdown of the trailer, but because I got sick, it's just kind of, made that almost impossible right now. So I probably won't get to that, unfortunately, even though I wanted to. Oh well, it is what it is. I only get so much done. Anyway, if you guys like the video, I know it's not as good as usual, but it's the best I can do right now. You guys can thumb it up below. I always appreciate your guys' support and everything. I'll try to do another one for tomorrow. If you have any final questions, you can send them to me, but no promises because I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. And then, of course, you can share at the bottom left. And if you're new and you want to subscribe, want to see more videos on the channel and everything, you like Walking Dead, maybe Game of Thrones, you can subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one today. And, of course, I'll see you guys again tomorrow night for sure for the review and predictions for next week's episode of The Walking Dead Season 6. As always, it's Trev. I'm saying peace. See you guys.